Jai Reyes, if you look at his points, if you look at the shots that he made, pretty much the big ones came really in the second half.
Yes.
Those 5 3-pointers were all in the second half, and he favors going to his left. You can see space it out on the floor. He likes to dribble off the pick and roll, going left, pulling up for that 3-pointer. He's not the kind of scorer that can create his own shot, so he has a lot to thank for his big teammates for those beautiful screens on the pick and rolls, and on the other shots that he makes are off good ball rotation and good spacing, and that all comes with the system of Coach Norman Black.
5 out of 6 from the field, as you mentioned, 5 out of 5 in the second half for the guy who's graduating. Both of them, actually, including Nonoy Baclao, Raba Aluseni, and Jai Reyes. Let's flip the coin and check out the other side. Your assessment of Paul Lee, TJ. He came off the bench practically with 6 minutes gone by already in the first quarter. I chatted with him. He said it wasn't a big deal. He's used to it. He can start. He can come off the bench. But your assessment of the game and the defense that was played on him by Ateneo.
Well, first off, coming off the bench, we were looking at him during the game, the first few minutes. He looked a little antsy on the bench, really wanting to get in, really itching to get in and try to start helping his team. But he had to come off the bench. He only had 4 points in the first half, but that's Paul Lee. Sometimes, or most of the time, he starts slow and really gains steam in the second half. And other than that, he also likes to pace himself and really likes to save the rest of his energy for the end game, in which he showed again 11 points in the second half, 9 of them in the fourth, but unfortunately it was not enough. But if you look at his shot chart and you see where the points of Paul Lee came from, the blue balls are the ones that he made. He only had 1 3-pointer, considering how awesome he was from beyond the arc against FEU.
In the Final Four.
This game, exactly, in the Final Four. In this game, Game 1, Ateneo was able to make sure that his 3-pointers would be denied. At least the easy looks would be denied. He had to try to find other ways. He had to drive. He had to go to the basket and take it strong there. He only had 5 field goals out of those 15 points, actually, and he really had to bleed for those 15 points as he was so well checked by a combination of defenders. Kirk Long, Eric Salamat, and even Ryan Buenafe was the crucial steal at the end game where he stole the ball off of his former teammate.
And that last point you made, I talked to him about that, and he was really surprised with the number of defenders that he had to face to try to get him off his game. He says he's ready for that coming into Game 2. Now, what I wanted to know is Elmer Espiritu, because we talked in Game 1, TJ, how he played 37 minutes in that game, and I confirmed it. He got tired. Third quarter, he said towards the end of the third quarter, he started to cramp a little, and if you noticed, he was walking a lot of the times in the on the floor, really playing a lot of defense, so it took away so much from his offense.
Absolutely, and you can see that. That's what has been happening to him. I looked at the numbers. In the 14 games he played in the elements, he's only averaged 31.9 minutes. In the Final Four, it jumped up to about 35 minutes, and you see the effect on his points.
Yes.
In the finals, he played 37 minutes, and not only 37 minutes, they were 37 really difficult defensive minutes because he had to contend with boxing out Nonoy Baclao, guarding against Raba Aluseni, challenging the slashers of Ateneo, and he was really huffing and puffing by the time the fourth quarter came. And maybe Coach Lawrence Johnson will realize that and make some adjustments today.
All right, well, before we get to that, we'll take a break, and then we'll find out from TJ Manotoc how these two teams are going to get game number 2 of the finals of the UAAP Live and exclusive courtesy of ABS-CBN Sports on Studio 23. Stay with us, please. We're back with you here with the Mammoth crowd at the Araneta Coliseum for game number 2 of the finals between Ateneo and UE. And now TJ's favorite part of the pregame as he discusses the keys to winning for both teams. Let's start with a team that is searching for back-to-back titles, TJ.
Well, if I may, modesty aside, try to chip some things in here for Coach Norman Black, as what I see they can continue to improve on and do here in game number 2 to snatch the title today. The keys to winning for Ateneo. First up, attacking UE's weak high post defense, honest defense on UE's slashers, and boxing out on UE's rebounding guards. Now let's get to this one by one. We saw Raba Aluseni with 5 or 6 outside shots at the top of the key, and that is primarily because the weak defense of UE at the high post. They would not, number 1, deny the slashers or the cutters to receive that ball at the high post, and number 2, the guys defending the balls were not pressuring the passers enough. So it was a field day for guys like Jai Reyes and
Yes.
Montfort to pass the ball to Raba at the high post, get those shots, and operate pretty much at will. There was even one point where Raba faked and drove from the top of the key. That's how weak that high post defense of UE was. Butas na butas talaga.
I was thinking these are the things that TJ was talking about earlier. Now let's talk about point number 2.
Well, secondly, honest defense on UE slashers. This was something we saw about the whole 3.5 quarters of that game. And it was crucial. Why? Because it would deny the opportunity for UE to drive and drop. Their guards like to get in the paint. They like to attract the big man defense on the help defense and then drop. If you gamble, if you are an Ateneo guard and you gamble on a steal at naiwanan ka, you're gone because you're going to leave the situation in the paint 2 against 1 or 3 against 1. But since they were able to stay honest and did not go for too many steals, they were just staying in front of them, staying with them even with the drive, and the bigs would come on the help. And that was a big thing for Ateneo, and they have to keep doing that so that the offense of Llagas and Espiritu would not be involved. Those 8 points were not just because he was tired. He got very few drop passes.
Yes, that's right. You know, UE's guards, specifically Linganay and Rafi Reyes, got a lot of rebounds in that game, TJ, that kept them in that game number 1.
And that was big, and that's why my third point for Ateneo is they have to do a better job in boxing out those rebounding guards of UE. Believe it or not, when I dig deeper into the stats, Ateneo's guards were out-rebounded by UE's guards 19 to 10. Yes, on the whole, it was a 50 to 42 rebounding edge for Ateneo, but you cannot allow those guards to keep waltzing in the paint and keeping those plays alive, getting those offensive rebounds, getting those putbacks, or at least even tipping it out and getting it to their teammates to keep their play alive, especially if they are a team that you've already limited to 34% field goal shooting. You don't want to give them a chance at a second crack at the basket.
And of course, even if you won, you still want to tweak some points about your game going into game number 2. Now, if you lost, like the UE Red Warriors, how do you stay alive in this series, TJ?
Well, you got to look at your mistakes and you got to do a big thing about them and make some major changes. First up, tightening up on defense at the high post and against the pick and rolls. Secondly, be patient on your offense and then attack the middle. And thirdly, which I think is the most important, I'll get to the details later, is trusting your bench. So going back to that thing for Ateneo, Raba Aluseni had a field day. UE has got to do a better job at really denying that pass to the high post and inside the paint. Secondly, the pick and rolls. Jai Reyes had 5 3-pointers. 3 of them came off pick and rolls because they were not showing anymore in the 4th quarter. I think fatigue became a factor. The bigs had a harder time coming out and showing, so their pick and roll defense was pretty much non-existent in the crunch, and that's when Jai Reyes made his clutch baskets.
All right, next point, TJ, for UE.
Well, being patient is something that has always been a question mark for UE's, you know, freewheeling offense. Sometimes they attack early, sometimes they attack with reckless abandon, and really you can't explain why they do so. But in the first quarter, when we saw them be a little bit more methodical and a little bit more disciplined, it showed that they were a little bit more effective. When they were patient, they moved the ball around, and then when they need to attack the middle, and when I say attack the middle, this is key. You know why? Because Raba Aluseni had 0 fouls. How can you live with not challenging Raba Aluseni and his fouls? In the games that Ateneo has lost or when they had trouble winning was when Raba would get into early foul trouble. You cannot allow him to survive the game with 0 fouls. You have to challenge his defense.
And speaking of that, I want to jump into point number 3. Raba wasn't challenged. Also, part of the reason that Coach Lawrence Johnson did not really use a lot of big men on him. He didn't gamble on the Ayalas, the Alabanzas against Raba Aluseni.
Believe it or not, Coach Lawrence only went with a 9-man rotation, a tight 9-man rotation, as compared to Ateneo, who went to an 11-man rotation. And digging deeper into the numbers, Ateneo had 9 guys who played 12 minutes or more. UE only had 6 guys who played 12 minutes or more, and highlight of that, which was the 37 minutes of Elmer Espiritu. So masyadong napagod, I think, no? Especially you're a team who had to win 2 games against FEU. You're coming into the finals more fatigued than Ateneo. And why not? Why not trust guys like Alabanza or Ayala for a few minutes, 5-6 minutes, just like what Coach Norman did with Justin Chua, who gave Raba a good spell for 5 minutes on the floor.
5 minutes of basketball time, and then, of course, you know, the extra minutes of TV time. All right, I'll let you rest for a while, TJ. You know, prior to the start of this game, well, we are about to start the game, but earlier on, there was a press conference that was held right here at the Araneta Coliseum, and Mr. Gabby Lopez and the rest of the UAAP board were there. Of course, our boss, Mr. Peter Musni, they were there for the contract signing. 5-year extension of the UAAP with ABS-CBN Sports. And let me just tell you that this happened after voting in September 3. And the board unanimously voted in September 3. So this means this is the 3rd contract already that ABS-CBN Sports has had with the UAAP. We will continue to broadcast in high definition. We will continue to broadcast all over the world via the Filipino channel. This, of course, is another 5-year contract. And an innovation next year, DJ, aside from the fact that we will cover a lot of the other sporting events of the UAAP, which we do every year. Right. We'll also cover the side events of the UAAP. And in the finals of the 73rd season of the UAAP, the games will also be shown on Channel 2, other than Studio 23.
To reach more viewers all over the country.
That's right. So that's some great news. But better news, when we come back from our commercial break, we will get it on for game number 2 between Ateneo de Manila University and the University of the East Red Warriors after these.
For game number 2 of the best-of-3 series in your season 72 UAAP, the finals. First, celebrating its Centennial 150th year anniversary on December 10, 2009. Here's the school gunning for their first back-to-back championship since 1987-1988. Here are the defending champions, the Ateneo de Manila Blue Eagles. At power forward, number 7, Nonoy Baclao. Forward, number 12, Kirk Long. Center, number 19, Rabah El Husseini. At shooting guard, number 11, the Sultan of Swipe, Eric Salamat. And at point guard, number 5, the Dynamite, Jai Reyes. The head coach of the Blue Eagles, Mr. 100% Norman Black. And now, here's the school eyeing to extend the championship series to a rubber match. Here's the University of the East Red Warriors. At point guard, number 10, Rudy Linganay. Off guard, number 14, Rafi Reyes. At center, number 9, Elmer Espiritu.
Well, we are seconds away from tip-off for game number 2, the best-of-3 finals of the 72nd season of the UAAP. Reminding you, game 1 winner has gone on to win the series 11 out of 15 times, and 8 out of those 11 times, game 1 winner has gone on to sweep the series. So again, the numbers do not favor UE, but I'm sure they don't really care at this juncture.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they know that there have been teams who have come back from being down 0-1 and winning games 2 and 3.
Yes, and we will talk about that later. But first, it is Eric Salamat who has not had his luck in the finals in general since he got into the UAAP.
Well, boom, looking at the starting 5 of Coach Lawrence Johnson, another dose of small ball from the US. Comes up with his first big steal.
The #1 man in terms of stealing the ball. Actually did not have a steal in game number 1.
That's why everybody else, didn't get the, hindi nahawa sa stealing efforts of Salamat.
Jai, first 3 of the game. A little long. Acuna tracks down the rebound. 40 seconds gone by, game number 2. We're glad to have you with us for our Sunday showdown. Hope you're safe and in good spirits as you watch us on Studio 23. Elmer Espiritu starts off with one of his favorite jumpers from around 16 feet from the side.
That's a nice little play there with a screen coming from Acuna. and having Espiritu sweeping to the wing and taking that jumper.
They swing it over to Salamat, who's short, but Nonoy Baclaos takes it back, picks up some scraps.
They're going to have to do a better job, especially this very small lineup to start with for Coach Lawrence Chong. So he's got Val Acuna playing the 4 spot, and his natural power forward, Elmer Espiritu, playing the 5 spot.
Nganay, also one of those UE Red Warriors who are graduating this year. They don't want to play or want this to be their final game of the year as a traveling infraction is called on Elmer Espiritu. Gives us an opportunity to send it to Jessica Mendoza from the Ateneo side of things. Go ahead, Jet.
Boom, this game could potentially be the last of the season, and so I took the time to talk to somebody whom an Ateneo win today would mean the world, and I'm talking about Jai Reyes, who has worn the blue and white for almost as long as he can remember. This Ateneo career has been my life, he told me, and I don't want my life to end, but that's what makes it special, knowing that it has to. He added that he's willing to do whatever is needed of him on the court today, whether it's making those 3-pointers or just pulling the team together. Jai also said that he hopes that today's game will help others find inspiration in the team and in the school. I hope we make them feel that some way, somehow they can achieve their dreams too. But his ultimate goal for today is obviously, I just want to win. He says, for the TJ.
Thank you very much for the Samsung courtside update. Unfortunately, during that report, a couple of turnovers for Ateneo, contributing to 6 points for UE. 6-2 is the score. Kick it out, Salamat. In between jumper is good. Higher percentage working for the former San Sebastian Stag.
We're going to see Eric Salamat a little bit more aggressive
I think
today.
so, yes.
That was his 3rd attempt already in this game. I'm sure he was not happy with his 2-point performance in game number 1.
And I think he knew that he was called out after game number 1, but of course they still came out with a win as Elmer Espiritu misfires from the outside. 7:10 remaining in the first quarter. 6-4 is the score. Jai, Raba, Kirk, Nonoy, and Eric. Jai will try from the other side. Gets it to go!
You know, with this UE starting small, of course they're going to be forced to play zone defense, and it looks like they're going to gamble on that. It's either or, Bume.
Yeah.
Do we do our best to deny Jai Reyes his threes or try to stop Raba Aluseni? I think they're going to try to stop the guy who had 28 points.
Paul Lee against Kirk Long. The first defender for today. Paul Lee hard to the rack.
Look at that.
That's the way.
We mentioned that as one of our keys to winning for UE. They got to drive hard and challenge Raba Aluseni into some foul trouble.
And Paul Lee said he's ready for anything today. Well, he better be. Kirk Long will try from the same spot. Different result for him. Rebound number 2 for Elmer Espiritu. Lee forcing the issue. Nothing there. And Raba Aluseni with a rebound. Something to say against Rudy Linganay. And I said, one of the things that made him so effective in game number 1 as he, look at that, strokes this jumper in, was the fact that nobody got to him mentally. Nobody got to him physically, so he was so under control in that game.
As opposed to games where Ateneo's had a hard time.
FEU?
At the FEU, or when he get into early foul trouble, may mga nangiinis sa kanya eh. People will get physical with him. But Elmer Espiritu says no need for physicality just yet as I'm hitting my outside shots. 2 out of 3 from the outside now for Espiritu.
11-9 is the score. 5:40 remaining. A timeout with Samsung Imagination Lives. We're back with you for more on Studio 23's coverage of the UAP Finals. Alaksan FR 3-point shot, body paint kahit saan. Agad talab ang Alaksan FR. Back-to-back, Jai Reyes, Elmer Espiritu. Jai Reyes, TJ, by the way, ties JV Casio in terms of most 3 points made in a finals game since 2002. Casio was 5 out of 9. And we mentioned how Jai is 5 out of 6. Great escape dribble, but it came up short. And Acuna able to get the rebound.
And so far, with the long attempts of Ateneo, they are now 1 out of 4 from beyond the arc. Only once did Ateneo get the offensive rebound. So a better job so far on the defensive boards for UE.
Ganay thought about it. 7 on the 24. Acuna does not think about shooting threes. He just does what he wants. As Espiritu misfires from up close, and a 24-second infraction call. Let's go to Tiff Atendido from the UE Red Warriors this time. Tiff?
Obviously, it is a win or go home situation for the Warriors today, Boom. After that very painful loss for Game 1 last Thursday, it was back to the Tanduay Gym for the boys. The whole team watched the game and reassessed what they had to improve on. Obviously, defense, shot selection, and listening to the instructions. Despite that, the boys were commended for limiting their turnovers to only 7 during the entire game. With that in mind, coach specifically instructed the Warriors to gang up on Al Husseini and shadow Jai Reyes. But that's not to say that the other Eagles will be forgotten. Defensive assignments is always emphasized. Lastly, no forced shots and just take care of the ball. Boom and TJ.
Thank you very much, Tiff. As we check out our Smart Instant Replay. Smart, we're helping sports. Good call by the referee. Long has not or did not establish his position defensively there. As Paul Lee starting this game today. Espiritu loses it. The tap.
That's on Jai or Raba?
Let's check. It's Raba.
Our first foul of the series. I'm still amazed. He had 0 fouls in game number 1. That was just awesome. And 0 turnovers at that.
I mean, the defensive assignment already since last year has been always less of a load for him because of Nonoy Baclao. But lalo na ngayon, ano? Lalo na nung game 1, as Nonoy Baclao, his partner in crime, puts it up and in.
Jai Reyes complaining where was the foul. In fact, UE was intentionally giving up the foul on him to stop the fast break.
Second tie of the ball game. 12 on the 24. It is Ingana against Long this time. They kick out to Reyes. Reyes out to Espiritu. Same spot, same result.
Well, he just ties his output for game number 1. That's right. 8 points now for Elmer Espiritu on a very hot 3 out of 4 shooting.
The outside shooting obviously very important for UE to open up that tough interior defense of Ateneo. As a foul called on Paul Lee. Referees Garferio, Barbacena, and Mauricio joining us today. PS Bank assist brought to you by PS Bank. Simple lang, maasahan. Here's that one on the other side. Espiritu, 8 points, 2 out of 3 from beyond the arc so far. Also seen in our Smart Instant Replay. Smart, we're helping sports. Raba from the outside, dribbles in, puts it on the deck. Nothing there.
That's not his game, although he did have one move late in the 4th quarter, putting the ball on the floor, getting the layup, but not all day.
A handoff to Paul Lee and another block by Kurt Long.
And Paul Lee is playing this smart. He is playing this to his advantage in terms of his speed and his aggressiveness. He knows he can pick up those fouls.
That's a tough call to make. You be the judge. Smart Instant Replay showing you that one. Smart, we're helping sports.
Well, if you don't have your feet set as a defensive player, you only hope to be calling or drawing the offensive foul on the other guy is if his shoulder is dipped too much.
Substitution delivered to us by KFC. It's finger licking good. Last year's Rookie of the Year. That's Ryan Buenafe coming in. Elmer Espiritu thought about it. 3:30 left in the first. Ingana against Eric Salaman. It is Acuna against Baclao. Acuna loves going to his left. Oh, rejected big time by Nonoy Baclao. Salamat up over Elmer Espiritu.
And did you see how he had to adjust with that layup going higher off the glass?
The number 1 and number 2 shot blockers of the league. Elmer and Nonoy. Acuna says, I'll try from the outside. Nothing there. 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. UE clinging on to a precarious 1-point lead. Ryan, Jai, the ball fake. Ryan swings it over to Eric, who's feeling it right now. That's off to the right. The numbers favoring UE here. Paul Lee against 2 defenders. That's an offensive foul called by referee Garferio.
All right, that time around, even with Jai Reyes not having his feet set, he played on his defense, did not go for the steal, laterally stayed in front, and he drew that charge on Paul Lee. Crucial call. Second foul now on Paul Lee.
Yeah, he slapped Raba earlier. Now the offensive foul. It's a timeout here with Samsung Imagination Lives. Back here at the Araneta Coliseum, Nonoy Baclao averages 2.5 shot blocks a game going into the finals. That one featured him, brought to you by Rexona. Use Rexona after every bath, and it translated into a Caltex fast break. Caltex with the unbeatable cleaning power of Techron.
You know how big that block was, Boom? That's also big in terms of the psychological war between Acuna and Baclao, because in game number 1, there were a few times Baclao tried to guard it, and Acuna blew by him.
Buenafe misfiring from downtown. 2:25 to play, and it's still a 1-point lead for UE. Incanay from way out. That's short. Raba comes away with his third rebound of the ball game. Coming up the 2-minute mark of the first quarter of game number 2 of the best-of-3 finals between Ateneo and UE. Available in high definition on Sky Cable Channel 166. Balls HD, the number 1 rejecter of the league. Gets it on Raba this time. Rafi drives, scoops it up, no. Battle for the loose ball, and it ends up with a jump call. Possession arrow pointing to the UE Red Warriors.
Going back to the defense of UE in that last play. Look at how tight the interior was. Much better high post defense for UE in that play. Incanay already putting a body on Raba before he even gets the ball.
Clear precision stop, clear men, no dandruff, just cool hair. Justin Chua now coming in for Raba Al-Husseini, who's still pleading for a call. Coach Norman Black says it's okay. And now Patty Llagas will come in for Elmer Espiritu.
So interestingly, Coach Lawrence is not saving him for Raba, at least for the first few parts of this game. It's pretty much he's going for the Espiritu and Al-Husseini matchup.
And let's see if they go to Patty, who has the advantage of Justin Chua.
Right.
Maybe not in height, but you know, crafty and experience. Patty Llagas, he was asking for it in that sequence, and Balacuña says, teka, tira muna ako. Jai puts up the 3. Long. Paul Lee with a rebound. 3-on-1 on the other side. Paul sets up. Rudy
Nice
Ligana.
pass. Beautiful setup. Driving into the right side a little bit more to give him space to pass to Rudy Ligana, and it will give him a chance to lay it up na malayo pa si Buenafe.
And he is the number 1 playmaker of the league. Talking about Paul Lee. Chua, the fake. Banks it in. Good find by Eric Salaman. 1 minute to play in the first.
No scoring first quarter here, Boom, compared to our first game.
Now they go to Patty. Patty has Justin. He's looking to take advantage. He fades away. Misses. 45 seconds remaining. Nico Salva also in for Ateneo, by the way. How big was the bench of Ateneo also in game number 2?
They were huge.
Ryan, inside to Justin. Tapped away, and pass picked off by Patty Llagas. A differential of around 7 seconds. The shot clock and game clock. 16-15. Paul Lee, the show by Salva. Lee decides to put up a 3. That's long. Reyes with a little push. But the foul on Buenafe was the one that was called with 13 remaining on the shot clock or game clock. Powerade Hyper Play of the quarter. Drink up, power up, sports is what you make it.
He drew Ryan Buenafe a little bit further away from Incanay to give him an easy layup.
Bacon Austria, who started in game number 1, now off the bench. How about Lucas Tagarda, also who first time? Did not, yes.
Yep, didn't play in game number 1, so we're seeing signs of Coach Lawrence trusting his bench players a little bit more and not panicking and playing a very tight 9-man, actually essentially even a 6-man rotation. Those 3 of those guys had like 6 minutes or less.
And we also have to remember Coach Lawrence jumps on his first time in the finals.
Right.
Regardless of that 8-game winning streak, he is also learning as he goes along.
The pressure is also on him also.
But he has done a spectacular job for the UE Red Warriors this year, regardless of the outcome.
Absolutely.
Of this finals. Beating FEU twice and hoping to be the 16th to overcome, hoping to be the 15th to bounce back from a 0-1 deficit and win the crown in the UAAP. Get a free collectible Coca-Cola UAP limited edition bottle for every Jollibee Burger value meal. The double upgrade of your fries and Coke. Be proud of your school. 10 seconds remaining. Patty drives. The bang in the bucket.
And there you go, exactly what you said, Boom. Yung gigil ng veteranong ito. This veteran guy knows he has an advantage in terms of savviness, in terms of the moves against Justin Chua. Look at that little bit of a hook on the hip of Justin Chua. He knows what he can get away with against this guy.
Strong power move brought to you by PS Bank. Simple lang, maaasahan, the graduating student for the UE Red Warriors. And this is Erwin Duran getting ready.
But it's going to replace the shooter, so Patty Llagas will be given a quick rest. As you're really seeing Coach Lawrence trusting some more bench guys who did not see any time in game number 1.
Probably learning from a few things that he saw. Game number 1. 8 seconds remaining here. Patty Llagas graduating this year. Rebound to Chua. 5 on the game clock. They go to Buenafe. Buenafe fakes. Tagata all over him. Almost made the shot. He was asking for a foul. But none will be given by the referee. First quarter.
Low scoring first quarter. Boom, 18-15 as compared to what we saw in game number 1, where it was 24-11 as you saw Ateneo mount that big lead. But now it's UE on top. They're humming and they're trusting some other guys off the bench.
Back here at the Araneta Coliseum, jam-packed big dome. It would be the last time we're going to be here for season 72. We'll find out. In the meantime, it's time to lend out our support to Kapit Bisig para sa Ilog Pasig, the river rehabilitation project of ABS-CBN Foundation. At my signal, let us all together text Give Ilog and send it to 2366. Let us now take our cell phones. Text na. Thank you. Your contribution will go a long way in achieving our dream of a clean river. Again, Give Ilog and send to 2366. Back to live action. Second quarter is underway, and Eman Montfort, who was 0 out of 4 in game number 1, knocks down his first baby from beyond the arc.
Coach Norman Black himself mentioned that he highlighted that part of their game that he did not see Eman Montfort take advantage of the zone defense of Ateneo when the bench, both teams had their benches on the floor, just like now.
Rafi Reyes with 5 on the shot clock. Zamar, triple team on him. Zamar goes out to Tagata with a second to shoot. Nothing there. Offensive rebound. Duran puts it up and in.
The 6'3" second-year player for UE seeing his first